Noah controls the grizzly bears and a hill giant. Andrew wants to cast Evangelize with Noah being the chosen opponent. Does he get to know what creature he would gain control of before deciding how to tap his lands for mana, or if he wants to pay the buyback cost? Now, to start, let's look at a really interesting part of Evangelize. That is, that it says target creature of an opponent's choice. Usually, you choose the targets for your spells and do so as part of casting the spell. But in this case, your opponent chooses the target? Well, there's actually a rule for these kinds of scenarios, that being Rule 601.6. What this rule basically says is that if an opponent is instructed to make a choice you would make while casting a spell, that opponent makes that choice at the point you would make that choice. This means that Noah chooses the target for Evangelize at the same point Andrew would choose the target for any other targeted spell he cast. Since the target is chosen at the normal point, this also means that if the creature ends up becoming an illegal target before Evangelize resolves, Evangelize will not do anything, not even return to your hand if the buyback cost was paid. So when would you normally choose the targets for your spell? At what point would Andrew decide what lands he wants to tap or if he wants to pay the buyback cost? Now to figure this out, we need to look at the rules about actually casting a spell. This is handled by Rule 601.2 and its subrules. Now, there's a lot in here, but long story short, announcing additional costs like buyback is part of the second step in casting a spell, choosing targets is part of the third step in casting a spell, and activating mana abilities is part of the seventh step in casting a spell. This means that first, Andrew announces if he wants to cast Evangelize with buyback or not. Then, Noah chooses what creature he wants to target with the Evangelize. And lastly, Andrew decides how to tap his lands for mana. On a side note, I really like this question because it challenges how the game of Magic the Gathering is usually played. Usually, when a player wants to cast a spell, what the player actually physically does in the real world is tap his lands, show the spell or place it down on the table somewhere, and then announce any targets or modes for that spell. It ends up with the same end result, but it does mean some rules interactions can come up a bit counterintuitive.